Hey everybody at Fellowship, my name is Joanne Sharp. I'm Director of Women's Ministry at Fellowship, and we have Lisa Meyers with us today. She is the Director of Fellowship Kids and all the children's programs, and we were just chatting this week regarding all of the resources that are available for kids right now online and having just a really interesting conversation, and we thought that we should share it. So I'm gonna just pass the floor to Lisa and she can start us off.
Okay, that sounds great. Thanks, Joanne. So Joanne and I were talking about her family and how her family uses the things that we've put on our website since coronavirus quarantine started back in March. So one of the first things I wanted to highlight is that we have stopped programming for children at our church building, but we have not stopped programming for children. And that's really important for me to say, because I think when we're not together, it's really hard to feel like anything is continuing. And we've all been working really hard as a staff, but also just as a congregation, staying connected with each other. And so we've really tried hard to put materials on our kids web page, which is new since Corona happened to us, just so that families like yours, Joanne, can say Sunday mornings, hey, we have live stream for us, but what will the kids do while we're watching? And so we've really worked to put our normal kids lessons, the ones we would have taught if your kids were in our church building, and to use the video, the digital content, and put it right up on our web page so you can access it. And the videos are there, but we've just added music, a couple different age levels, for your little kids, the kindergarten first graders, as well as the second through fifth graders too. Coloring pages, activity pages, questions, just trying to really fill that page out. So I'm really curious, and we were talking a little bit about how do you use that content with your family, because you have a kind of a wide age range.
Yeah, and I had you on mute because they're still here. We do have a wide age range. John and I, my husband and I, have 4 kids. Jake is 12, Will is 9, Kevin is 8, and Jordan just turned 4. So we're talking about a 12-year-old and a 4-year-old, totally different needs, right? Attention spans, everything. I think at the beginning of March, when all of this sort of happened, we were just in shock. At least I was in shock as far as schooling goes. Mm-hmm. Focus was really on their day-to-day schooling and just feeling really overwhelmed at being thrown. I was a teacher, so I felt like I had the skill set, but at the same time, it wasn't like something we thought about or prayed about. It just was like, here, everybody's home all the time, figure it out. And their teachers were fantastic, but that's really where the focus was at the beginning. And Sundays were more like, let's try to watch church like we would if we were on vacation or something, which that normally looks like all of us sitting around a TV and getting as much out of it as we can with a 4-year-old running around, Right. But we were thankful, obviously, for the online church-wise. And then as you guys started putting out resources, I was like, oh, this is incredible. You guys could be watching something while we watch church. So we do worship together. In the main sermon, we try to do the worship together. And then we already have set up in another room a laptop, and they have been watching up until recently Pastor Don's message, which is more geared towards like middle school. Am I right?
Junior high, 6th through 8th junior hires.
Yeah, and my 12-year-old gets a lot out of that. Yeah. My 9 and 8-year-old love it. I think they don't get as much out of it from a depth perspective, but it's been great. And then you and I were talking about how I could take it a step further now. There's so many resources for the little guys that I could have even Jordan watching something totally on her level as well as the little guys. So I think that's what we're going to try this Sunday, is to do worship together, so we feel like we're doing something as a family, because we miss that. We miss corporate worship and just being with our people tremendously. That kind of feels like a mini version, and then maybe separate into our different sermons, messages, because then they'll have their own, understanding.
Right, and that's important. I think what we want to keep up is allowing parents to teach the Bible, talk about Jesus together, especially if you don't have the ability to put your kids in another room with a laptop, which you do, which is great. Some people are doing it on their phones or on an iPad. It really works on all those devices, which is wonderful. You
Really
just
nice.
get
Yeah.
to if you can get to the web page, you can find the kids page on it. Also, you can get to the kids content on the Church Center app now as well, which a lot of people use on their phones to get the live stream. All the kids
Oh, that's
content is there
cool. I
too.
didn't realize that. That's great.
Yeah, so it's very easy. You can even have the kids watch on a phone. So sometimes you're doing that separate. You're letting the kids watch and then you're watching the live stream. That really works, especially if you have a little bit of an older child who can sort of push the buttons for the little guys, okay, you're done your music, here's your video. That's great. If you don't have the ability to separate, then the other option is to just watch with your kids. And yeah, it's kids content, right? But it does give you a chance to hear what they're learning. And then that can spark a lot of great conversations around the dinner table or the breakfast table, or even just as you're out playing in the yard. You'll know what they've heard. And that's just another way to do it. So I think both work depending on your families and then how many kids are there and the structure of ages and everything.
I love that idea because I feel like my husband and I and my community group even have had conversations about how when church ceased, it was an opportunity to reflect on our family choices and how often are we doing corporate worship? How often are we as parents teaching? Or are we relying solely on church or, on youth group? So it's a cool opportunity to be a part of it.
Right.
You're not normally a part of it, to be engaged in it, to watch it with them and then try to build upon that. Or like you said, dinner table conversations. If you're not comfortable coming up with what to talk about, you've already provided it.
That's right.
Really cool.
That's right. And I think Sundays are still family times for people. We've always sort of guarded that. And I think that's really important. So it may be that you don't want to take the extra time to do all of that unpacking of what they heard or what they learned on a Sunday because you're out for a walk or you're out to have a picnic or something with a friend, but you can still do it. I say, print out the questions or the activity sheets. The activity sheets are really fun because they do the work of reminding the kids of what the real lesson, the foundation of the lesson was about. But it does so through like connect the dots and mazes and, crossword puzzles and things that they really enjoy doing. And now that it's summertime, I think maybe, parents can breathe and say, okay, I don't have schoolwork to do. So I really could print out these 4 pages and put them on the table on Monday morning with a can of markers and say, go to it, guys, while I make breakfast. And it's another way just during the week to say, okay, let's just not leave Jesus for Sunday mornings or for church, but to say, we want to walk with Christ our whole lives. We know that as adults, right? As moms, as women, as parents. But it's hard to remember that the kids need to be fed like that too. And not just on Sundays.
Absolutely. And I feel like it would help give a little structure to your summer too. With church being, we don't know what that will look like just yet, right? If we can even go, well, we're just starting that process. So eventually we'll be there. But in the transition time, it will give kids a little structure on a Sunday too, to feel a bit of slice of normal,
That's right. Yeah.
And I like the idea too, if you were to watch the sermon together, as you said, not all families can have multiple devices.
Mm-hmm.
You were to do worship together, and then, if you feel like they're at an age like my Jordan would have a hard time sitting through a sermon.
Right.
You could, but it would just be hard for me because I might be a little distracted at times, which is fine. But it's cool to have, a word search or a coloring page that we can walk through together beforehand, and then she has something to do during the sermon too.
Right. Yeah. Lots of different ways to use it. That's right. Well, just before we finish, Joanne, there are just a couple things coming in the summer. Speaking of summer and summer schedules, I think it's, when you're a mom, I homeschooled 4 kids. And so I was used to creating my own schedules every day for my kids. But I know if you're sending your kids to school, you're used to the morning schedule, right? Getting them up, breakfast, lunch packed, and out the door. And then you have free time. And in the summer, they're here. They're here with you all the time. And you're sort of like, okay, we love summer because we get to be spontaneous, right? We get to do the things we couldn't do while you're following a school schedule. But it's also nice to have some sort of a plan sometimes.
Yes, it is.
So a couple quick things, especially for the little guys this summer, is we're going to continue our preschool story time. And that's on Tuesday mornings at 10 live on Instagram. But it gets posted, so if you miss the 10 a.m. thing, you can just watch it later with your preschooler or set it up for them. And that's been really popular. We have a lot of families tuning into that, and that's really neat. We're looking to add a Thursday morning one too in July, which will be a little different. We won't be actually reading the stories to the kids, but we'll be showing moms in 5 minutes how to take a storybook, the Jesus Storybook Bible, how to take a lesson, read it to your child, and then do a simple craft or ask 3 questions.
Oh,
That's
cool.
it. So it'll be like a how-to for moms in 5 minutes.
That's cool. I like that.
So we're working on that. And then working also on this series called Being a Spiritual Parent. And I have a lot of moms who have been doing this with their kids, spiritually parenting, moms and dads, over the course of a lot of years who want to share their wisdom in different areas of what it looks like to spiritually parent your child. And so that we're going to try to run that sometime through July and August as well. So you'll be hearing about that soon.
That's awesome. And will that be on all medias, that spiritual parenting on Instagram, Facebook, and online?
Yes, trying to do that.
That sounds really great.
Good. All right. Well, I'm really glad that we got together and we were able to share this with our moms and dads at Fellowship, and really encourage you guys to try some of these ideas and think of some of your own. If you got some great ideas and you do it a different way, we would love to hear how you do it. So just email one of us, or reach out even to one of the pastors with an email and they can get it to me. So thanks, Joanne.
And thank you, Lisa, for all your effort. She's making so much effort with these resources, and it's incredible. There's so many things we can use during this season, even things from weeks ago. There's just plenty of things that we have, opportunity to now. So thank you for putting that effort into that.
Oh yeah, it's a pleasure. All right.
All right. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks, you too.
Bye.